I'd like to tell you about our theme for the youth department for this year's Youth Explosion: education, employment, and empowerment. Our young people were able to talk to church members in a way that they had not done before. They found out during some of these interviews that the usher who stands at the door is an independent businesswoman who contracts with truck drivers, commercial truck drivers from all over the country, and sends them about their way. Or that the first and only African-American female highway patrolman is a member of their church. Or the first African-American to be hired as an HR director for the U.S. Department of Agriculture is also a member of our church. What things did the kids learn? They learned about the educational requirements for many, many positions. They learned employment experiences from those people who they interviewed. And most of all, our kids are now empowered with the new skill of interviewing. So, what a wonderful experience they had. There are many more interviews that you will see, more than those ones that we just described. And the kids learned a lot. So they are now empowered with a new skill, and they can also see themselves in those positions in the future. So, education, employment, and empowerment. The Bible says that if we train up our children in the way that they should go, when they are older, they will not stray away from those teachings. Proverbs 22:6 from the Message Bible. We are doing that with our youth in POBSC, and we're excited to be able to gather them together again in the future. We're looking forward to that. But they've had an experience here this year in a different way. Those are the things that we have to do. The Bible tells us always to strive to become more and to be closer to Christ. And that's what we're trying to teach our young people. So please enjoy those interviews, and thank you for watching our kids grow. God bless.
Hi, my name is Micah, and I'll be interviewing Miss Audrey. We welcome Miss Audrey.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Nice to meet you. I'm just going to ask you a few questions. This is really a blessing. What church are you from?
I am from Faith Memorial Baptist Church, so I was born and raised right here.
How long would you say you've been going to Faith Memorial Baptist
Why are
Church?
you asking my age? But let me go ahead. Over 40 years.
I'm sorry if I made you feel old. What would be your profession of your lifestyle that you would?
So what's my profession? My profession, I am a leadership development training coach and an executive coach, and I am a LinkedIn learning instructor. So what I do is I help executives and leaders lead better, communicate better, work well with people, and things of that nature. And I train people on an array of things from communication to power skills, also known as soft skills, to how to get the right job, to resume writing, to interviewing, to managing difficult people, whatever they need, that's what I do. So yeah.
So I have a few words to say of what you just said. That was a lot of words, a lot of coaching, what I really grabbed and hold on to is basically you help people with their speaking, and you help them like they're going from a big group and get all that speech, you would help them with that, deal with that nervous and stuff.
Yeah, so speaking, thank you. So that's one of the things I do, but also I help people interact with other people. So for instance, if you're a manager and you're managing, let's say, your brother, and you guys are having difficulties, a lot of times you may not know what to do to get your brother on board or to work better. So my job is to give you strategies, trainings, little things that can help with managing your brother and making it to where he can work for you or with you as well. So those are some of the things that I do.
What would you say, what would, like, this is your profession, what would you say, how does God come in this, and how does he help you throughout your profession?
It's funny that you asked that, because a long time ago, back in 1995, 96, I received a scholarship from Faith Memorial, this church, Baptist Church. And the topic was, what is the importance of God in your life? So that was literally, what is that? How many years ago was it? I don't know how to count. Well, it was some decades ago. And I remember in that writing, one of the things that I wrote is that God is so important in my life right now because God gives me peace. So this world is crazy, and God gives me peace, the faith, and the courage to move forward no matter what.
How often would you say, or how often would you say many times a week do you pray?
I'm praying right now, all the time. That was a good
question. Good answer.
All the time. I pray without ceasing.
That is a good answer.
Mm-hmm.
How would you think God does with people you meet, or your family, or your husband, or any of the people you have? How would you think that?
Okay, so how I believe, first of all, that God works within me so that I can work with others for not my glory but God's glory. When I first started out and doing what I'm doing, I still actually have a speech impediment. I'm a stutterer. So the thing that the devil tried to kill me with or discourage me with is the same thing now that I use and utilize to show everyone God's love through me. The way people take me and the way I manage people, it depends. Some people may not like me, others may, but at the end of the day, I'm there to serve. And so me being in leadership, the one thing that I always go back to is a book. It's called Servant Leadership, and I think that's very important because there's going to be days when my team may not like me or others may not. As you know, there's a lot of strife going on right now as far as in race relations and things of that nature. And that even happens in the corporate world and outside of it. So a lot of times you have people that will actually treat you differently based on skin colors or your gender, things of that nature. But again, when you have God and just move faithfully, there's a peace and a joy that no one can steal. And so I would say that to anyone that pray without ceasing, also just walk faithfully, be of courage even when you're fearful. Because if you have that faith and you work with courage, it says the faith of a mustard seed, it will get you far.
I have one more small question, then we will have to depart from each other.
Sure.
Not that you only say that's your problem, and stuttering is your problem.
Yeah.
You don't let the devil stop you with that. You use it to that be your lifelong profession.
Amen. And I spread the word about God and will not stop talking. Even when I was younger, I didn't stop. I just get teased all the time because God, if God didn't want me to speak, I wouldn't have a voice at all. Even if that, God still wants me to speak, whether it be through sign language, hands, dancing, singing, music, whatever it is. God wants you to utilize it for the glory of Him. So that's what I can say about that.
Well, what are the requirements of your job?
So the requirements of my job, of course, is to be able to speak well and engage others, like bring people into what I'm saying, my message. My job also includes me to develop curriculum, like a school teacher would develop curriculum. I do it for adults as far as what they're going to be learning. Also, a big part of my job is building great relationships with people.
Do you have a degree?
Yes, I do. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Management, and I also have a Master's in Leadership, specializing in public administration from Mid-America Christian University.
Okay. How would you say that your degree helped you empower others?
Yes, so my degree in profession helps me to empower others because now I have the knowledge. Having a public administration degree, I deal with a lot of nonprofits and also startup companies. And with that, I was able to obtain my own business called Amplify, which helps small businesses with human resources needs and also with nonprofit needs. So I assist with that. Right now, I'm working with the nonprofit not too far away from here in my community where I help the business owner with just the organizational structure of what she does, which is very great. It's called Oklahoma Youth Literacy Program, and it's about literacy and also about feeding the community. And I've been with her now for about 7 or 8 years, and I'm really proud of that. So definitely I believe in giving back to the community. Again, this is servant leadership, so it's very important.
We thank you for having this interview and taking time out your day.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Kariana Marshall, and I am interviewing Trooper Latika Alexander from Faith Memorial Baptist Church. What is your profession?
A state trooper with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol.
What are the requirements to do your job?
The requirements to do, first of all, you have to get accepted into the academy, so you have to apply and you go through this long process. It takes a long time. They check your credit, they do a background check on you, every place you've ever lived, anytime you have had any interaction with the police in your area, we check all those different places because you can't have certain moving violations within so many years of applying with us or any type of charges. So first of all, we go through all of that first before you even get to the point of starting the academy. It takes about a year to go through our process of being hired and accepted into the academy. So we basically go through a background check, you go through physical agility, you do a written exam, and then you go before interview board before the chief and our commissioner before we decide to hire you. Requirements to do this job, of course you have to be in the best shape that you can be because our academy is very intensive and very structured and it's a lot. It's a lot. Sleep deprivation, you may get 4 to 5 hours sleep a night, so you have to be able to deal with a lot and be able to, you gotta have thick skin, that's for one, and you have to be able to deal with a lot of different variations, dealing with a lot of people, situations. Sometimes you deal with people at their worst, so you had to be able to be the calm person, the cooler head in a lot of different situations. But right now, the requirements to get hired, you have to have at least an associate's degree from an accredited college or university, or 62 hours of college credit. You can also have 32 hours of college credit and also have some military time. If you have 3 years active, that can count. Or if you are discharged from the military, for each year that you serve, you can gain 10 points, 10 credit hours actually, to give you the 62. So those are the requirements as far as education, okay? Can I be a convicted felon? Can I be a convicted felon of domestic violence? Because you cannot carry a gun. If you can't carry a gun, you can't do this job. So we do a lot of different things. We work accidents, we take people to jail, we stop and help motorists. We do a lot of things. We work on the water. We have different variations. We have pilots. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So you can really come from any kind of background. And we don't care what your degree is in. It doesn't have to be in criminal justice, criminology, any of that. There's a lot of different things that you do in this job that those other degrees will come into play.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
Empowerment, being that I'm a woman, I believe I can empower younger children. They see someone that looks like me, that looks like them, to see that they can do this job. I hope I empower them by giving them the courage to be able to do things that we as women don't normally do and that are not our really traditional jobs that most women do. Education, there's a lot of laws out there. You have state, local, federal law. Doing stuff like this, coming and talking to people and educating them on what we do, how we do it, why can you do it, why come you can't do it. That's educating. We have to educate those in the community, have a conversation, talk about different laws, understand that everything that I have is at your disposal as well. You can see it, you can pick it up, it's public record. You can read it, you can know what I do, you can know my policy, you can know everything that I do in my job. All the laws that we enforce, you can look it up on your phone. It's there. Okay, so that's educating, but we have to go out and go to those communities, those places where people probably don't get to talk to us and have conversations with them. Educating people what to do when they're stopped and they come in contact with law enforcement. What's the do's and the don'ts. That's educating. And what was the other one? Employment. It was, you said education, employment, and empowerment. So employment, you can have a career in law enforcement, but you just don't have to be a state trooper. There's other things that you can do. Like I'm under the Department of Public Safety, Oklahoma Department of Public Safety. That's also the place that issues you a driver's license. We also have dispatchers. We have a lot of different entities that help us do what we do. So there's other things that you can do besides being a trooper. You can be a dispatcher. The dispatchers for us are on the same retirement. You can retire in 20 years with us if you're a dispatcher for us, for Oklahoma Highway Patrol. They're on the same retirement system as us. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. You don't have to just do this. A DL examiner, the person that issues your driver's license when you take the test, those people as well work with our agency. So there's other things you can do besides being a state trooper. But I think this is the best one of them all.
Well, that's it. Thank you for taking time to come sit and have me interview you.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It's been my privilege and honor. Okay?
My name is Cassidy Marshall, and I am interviewing.
My name is Reginald Macklin.
Talk a little bit louder.
And I'm from Faith Memorial Baptist Church. What's your job?
I work for Farmers Insurance. The insurance company is very large. You might have seen our commercials. Now, we are farmers. Bump, dum, 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 dum. Yeah, that's us. And so I've been with Farmers Insurance for, it'll be 21 years in June.
How did you get your job?
Let's see. Well, it all started when, I'll give you the short version. I was an assistant manager at a market research firm, and we closed down. And so I was looking for another job while I was going to school, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, this job was opening, and I figured I'd go ahead and apply for a customer service associate position there, and I figured that it was just going to be a job. Well, it turned out to be a career. So for 21 years, that's been my life. Almost half of my life has been spent at Farmers Insurance in some sort of position.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How does your job help people in these areas?
Well, as far as our company is concerned, we like to go out within the community. Now, granted, dealing with COVID, it's been a little bit different, but typically we sponsor schools. I'm also a member of our Black Professional Alliance, and so we are in the midst of trying to build a relationship with Langston University, so that way that it can provide inroads for HBCU graduates to get into the corporate world with Farmers Insurance. Within my job itself, I'm empowered to do a whole bunch of different things. I am part of what we call as our customer application process team. So if your mom has a claim, let's say she got into a car accident, and instead of actually physically having to call in, she can actually go online and on the web and actually physically file a claim. And so my department, we actually work as far as dealing with that interface of what your mom would do. Hopefully not you, but that your mom would go through and actually file a claim. We also work with our customer service associates, our claims adjusters. There's a program that they utilize to input all the information about what happened as far as the accident. So if there's any sort of changes, improvements, etc., that it goes through my department. And so for me, I'm kind of like a voice of the technical people who deal with just IT stuff, and then you have our business people who don't know the technical talk. So it's kind of like being a interpreter, I guess is the best way to say it. And so empowered to make a whole bunch of different positions and be able to speak up on any sort of changes that we have. And so I've had a couple of my ideas actually roll out to production, which is pretty cool. And so I'm empowered just to go speak my mind. I might not necessarily get everything that I want because, that's just life, but still just a matter of being able to provide a voice and an outlet where I can go through and express my opinions is just a great thing. Anything else that you have? Okay, great.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Hi, my name is Rachel Coleman, and I am interviewing First Lady Rita from Holy Temple Baptist Church. She is also my grandma. So, First Lady Rita, what's your profession?
I'm an attorney.
What kind of attorney?
I actually practice in a lot of areas. I do foreclosures, I defend quiet title actions, I defend foreclosure actions in bankruptcy court, I represent code enforcement, animal welfare, I handle all kinds of civil lawsuits. I basically defend my city.
Okay. How long did it take you to get to where you are today?
A little while. I have a bachelor's in journalism from the University of Oklahoma. That's a 4-year degree. And then I have a master's in criminal justice administration. That was another year. And then I went to law school at night at Oklahoma City University. So that was a 4-year degree.
Okay, so are there any other requirements for your job?
You have to have a lot of patience because you deal with the public. You have to be very kind to them. You can't say what you really, really want to say to them. And you have to be flexible because every day is a different lineup of work to do.
Okay. And our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
Because of the versatility of what I do, I think the best thing I could do for anybody is sow the seed of opportunity for them. Let them see that if I can do it, anybody can do it. I've been practicing law for 35 years, and so that's a long time. And I've learned a lot, and I hope I've taught a lot.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Raven Cohen, and I'm interviewing Christine Harrison from Holy Temple Baptist Church. So, what is your profession?
I am a recently retired educator. I began my educational journey going to college, and I finished college in 3.5 years to become a teacher. I taught for 15 years. And during that time, I knew I wanted to go into administration, so there was more classroom work that I had to do. So I went back and got another degree, got a master's. While I was still teaching, I got a master's in elementary education, and I found out I wanted to go into administration, so I got another degree and additional classwork. And I became an administrator, a principal.
Okay. What are the requirements to do your job?
Well, you have to go to school. You have to go to school, and depending on what it is, in my case, I had to take a test to become a principal. And about 23 years into being a principal, I went back and got some additional classwork and took the superintendent's test. So a lot of classwork, a lot of learning.
Okay. So our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. So how can your profession help us in these areas?
Well, education, the educator prepares everyone for every profession. Just think about that. Every profession that you can name, an educator had to be involved in that. And generally that starts during your pre-K through 12th grade journey. So preparing you to go on further. Everyone's not college bound. Everyone's not college material, but rather you're college material or career. You're gonna either be college or career. Everyone should have a career no matter what you do. Okay, so education is involved. Education is directly connected to employment, to education, to empowerment. It's all connected. It intertwines.
Okay, thank you. My name is Raymo Coleman, and I'm interviewing Mr. Demetrius Mayhew from Holy Temple Baptist Church. So, Mr. Demetrius, what is your profession?
I am a program director of a group home.
What group home?
A little bit louder.
The group home is called Genesis Project.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about Genesis Project? Like, what do they do?
So what we do at Genesis Project, we house boys ages 6 to 12 that have been abused, abandoned, and neglected by parents or grandparents. We also rehabilitate them to go to adoption homes or foster homes, or they may age out and go to the next group home up, which is the ages of 13 to 17.
So, are there any other requirements to do your job?
To be a program director, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree and 3 years of experience in child care or group home.
So, what degree, like what bachelor's degree, what do you have to major in for that one?
Something along the lines of social work. My bachelor's degree is actually in corrections.
Corrections.
So it could be in psychology, it could be sociology, or it could be corrections, something along that lines.
So is there like a certain school you have to go to get that degree, or is it like any school that you
Not
go
at
to?
all, as long as it's accredited college.
Okay, and our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
So the education part, of course, getting your bachelor's degree, like I said, it didn't matter where you got your bachelor's degree or what it may be in. So you could go to OU, you can go to LU, get your bachelor's degree to be a program director. We just want to empower people to try and help kids that have been abused and that are hurt or that need somebody else, like a foster parent or an adopted parent, to help those kids get out of the streets or get out of their neglected place that they may have been in.
All right, that is all I have. Thank you, Mrs. Demetrius.
Thank you, Frank.
My name is Raymo Coleman, and I'm interviewing Reverend Seaborn Carter from Holy Temple Baptist Church. So, Reverend Carter, what is your profession?
Hello, Raymond. How you doing? Our profession is in terms of academics and workforce development. I also pastored for 35 years in my career. And I work for the city and for the state and for the county in job placement and job training skills. I did that in 3 different states: California, Minnesota, and Oklahoma City.
That is amazing. So how long did you do the job training for?
It depended on what the skill was. Some job skills require a couple of years, some could be done in years, some in several months. So it depended on what the skills was. The career they wanted to get into, depending on the amount of time it took.
So what were some of the requirements for your job in order for you to get there?
You have to have a bachelor's degree, remarkable skills in terms of human dynamics, because many of the people who were wanting the job, who were needing the job that we were prepared to prepare for, want the job without getting the skills. So the skills of human dynamics as well as the technical area.
So were there any requirements for the bachelor's degree? So like what type of bachelor's?
Social services.
Social services?
Now I was in sociology.
Mm-hmm. And last question, our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. Okay. How can your profession help us in these areas?
Well, as before stated that, and everybody is not college material, but at least didn't have a desire to go to college, but they want a manageable job. It's a good paying job, enabling them to have a livelihood. So the requirements were to have skills. Mine was administration, so we hired people with specific skills in each career area.
Thank you, Reverend Carter. That is all I have.
Hi, my name is DeJuan Dickens, and I'm interviewing a talented, wonderful, amazing wife to Mr. Washington from Mountain Zion Baptist Church. What is your profession? What do you do?
Now I'm a retiree, and I do very little, but I have worked 41 years. But when I was working, I worked with the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development. That's where I worked.
So what were the whole job requirements? What was the whole system of it all? Like, what did you have to do?
Well, I started out as a clerk and worked my way up to administrative program director. which was the highest position I could hold in the state of Oklahoma. And so I started out as a clerk. I was responsible for all the employees that worked for rural development. Everything that had to do with an employee was my responsibility. Hiring them, doing misconduct investigation, providing them with vehicles, phones, all the stuff they needed to do their job, being over the budget, which was $7 million plus, to make sure they had everything that they needed in order to do their job. So that was my responsibility.
Okay. So how did you, when did you start working, and how has it changed you? How did it make you a better person?
It made me a better person because I was ever so grateful, because when I was in high school, my mother, Helen Murray, when I was expressing to her I didn't really want to go to college to that next level, I was just thankful if I could get out of high school. She said, that's fine, but you can't stay here. So I started looking for opportunities that I could get other than working in the kitchen or babysitting or whatever. So I took Votech and got some office skills there, and I took typing. And then I started looking for jobs that didn't require a degree, just to get one to start out. And I found the job at the Department of Agriculture. And when I got in there, I never left. I continued to pursue opportunities that came available to me when I started working as a student.
So what other opportunities did you pursue?
Like promotions. I started out as a student, but I didn't always want to be a student. So I would work closely. I would volunteer in other departments to help them out, just so I could be familiar. And then when the jobs became available, I didn't have education, but I had experience. So I was able to move up the ladder with experience each time. So I pursued it. I never settled. So they would have to just tell me no, because I'm going to try it. So that's what I did. I just stayed and then just looked for opportunities. So I continued to apply and select it.
Wow, that was amazing. At the age of 16, did you know, or did you have any career plan, or did you knew that you wanted to do something right away since you didn't want to go to college?
I definitely knew I didn't want to go to college. I definitely knew I wanted a path that would lead me to something other than in the restaurants. I wasn't a restaurant type, and I wasn't a nanny type. So I started looking for what my options were. So I got involved with Votech. I even got a scholarship from the Lions Club to go to Votech. So I took that, and I took typing, because those were the type of jobs. And I thought, well, I'll find me a job in the office from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, weekends off. So that was my goal at 16. So by the time I graduated, I was able to reach my goal.
Okay. Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. What did your job as an office clerk and other things affect those areas?
As far as education, 41 years ago, they had a lot of student trainee type positions. But in today's world, and today, the education beyond high school, I think, is going to better suit students. So if you really can stick it out and have some love, I think you'll have an easier career getting your education. But if you absolutely cannot, my next thing would be get some type of skill and pursue some career, because you still can do things. You don't have to limit yourself, but you have to take the initiative and be motivated to do more. And then empower yourself and believe in yourself. And always pray to God, look for direction. And He will open doors that you can't even imagine that He opened. But you have to take that first step, be willing and be motivated, a self-starter, and you'll be surprised how many doors God will have open for you.
Do you have any advice for the youth now today?
The advice I would give to the youth today is be true to yourself and start out with God in your life. If you get God in your life, you can go a lot of places. And while you're down here, be sure to obey your parents, and then be picky about the people you choose to be around. Be very selective, because that will impact where your goals are, where you're going. So be very selective.
Well, thank you so much for this wonderful interview. You are an absolutely amazing, true icon to a lot of youth, and they would love to hear your story.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share it. I was truly blessed. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carson Webb, and I am interviewing Mr. Frank McLean from Mount Zion Baptist Church. What is your profession?
I'm a retired administrator.
Mr. McLean, take that off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we can't hear.
I'm a retired administrator from Stillwater Public Schools.
What are the requirements to do your job?
Well, you have to first have your master's degree in order to do that, but leading up to that, you've got to get your bachelor's out of the way first. And along with that is classwork and other obligations as far as getting a certification done. You have to take a certification test in the state of Oklahoma in order to get that certification done and completed.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
When you say empowerment, what are you referring to?
How to do better.
I would say hard work and studying and getting your assignments done, making sure that your attendance is good at school, and that will lead you and put you on the right track.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
My name is Derek O'Neill, and I'm interviewing Sister Teresa Farmer from the New Hope Baptist Church. Sister Teresa Farmer, what is your profession?
Derek, I'm a manager at AT&T, but my exact title is Manager Quality MMP Process, and on my day-to-day job, I'm a database administrator.
So what exactly are the requirements to do your job?
When I started with the company 24 years ago, I came into the company with a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Business. But because no one was there to educate me on how to get into a management position, I started from the bottom. Now I'm here. I started as an agent on the phones, doing outbound telemarketing, calling customers at home, asking them about caller ID. Within 1 year, I was promoted to that manager position. I worked in sales initially, and then I moved to finance. I'm in finance now as a database administrator.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that. When I started with the company has employee resource groups, and these are organizations within the company that were started kind of externally to help people groom, promote, and grow. And so the employee resource groups that I support, it was called Community Network, now it's called The Network, and then the Women of AT&T are the two primary that I support. And we do STEM education for young people to prepare them to be the educators or the employees of the future, right? So we know that STEM is going to be something big for the future, and I do STEM day to day on my database job. And so as far as empowering other people, I work on projects within the community, within my employee resource groups, to educate young people about the jobs that I do and the other jobs in other companies like mine. What was the other question? You said education, empowerment, and what?
Employment.
As far as employment, I work really hard to bring employers, to bring young people to the employers, the people that are part of the employee resource group. They're also the people in charge of hiring and recruiting people for the company, so they get an opportunity to see young people like us, you know, in an element outside of work, and they work hard to groom us, to prepare us to come into the work environment. They do things like job fairs, and they show up at events that we have when they're invited to kind of help educate young people on how to interview for a job with something like an AT&T.
Well, thank you, Sister Farmer, and thank you for your participation today with our interviews for the POBSC. My name is Derek O'Neill, and I'm interviewing Sister Wynonia from the New Hope Baptist Church. What is your profession?
I am a professional dispatcher within the freight industry.
What are the requirements to do your job?
The requirements to do this job is, I'm going to say self-motivation, because most of it is within yourself. It is, at the beginning of the business, it is slow because you are your own salesperson, you're your own manager, you're your own employee. So if you don't get up and go out and get your customers, you will not have any customers. So you have to be determined. You have to be disciplined, and you have to be patient.
theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
As far as education, you're constantly learning. So you will have to be able to learn the different terms that they have within the business. A lot of truckers and brokers and shippers, they use terms interchangeably. So you have to be able to understand what they're saying to you. As far as employment, you are your own boss, which empowers you to continue on. It makes you want to go. It gives you strength. You want to be proud of yourself. You want to succeed, so you're determined to go on. Education-wise, I do have a background in accounting. I like numbers, so you are crunching numbers. You're trying to make sure you're getting the right rates for loads, getting the drivers to destinations with fuel prices. There's a lot of calculations that goes along within the dispatching job. You want all the numbers to match up to a good rate so the customer, the driver, and you can make good money.
So what led you to get dispatching?
I was employed with Love's, the Love's country stores that's around here, but not at their gas stations, at their truck stops. I was actually in their corporate office as a factoring agent. A factoring agent is someone who the truck drivers call in once they complete their load meaning the products that they're delivering, one stop to the next. They'll send all of their documentation in, and Love's will factor the load meaning Love's pays them for the load. They pay the truck drivers. Otherwise, the truck drivers will have to send out invoices to every manufacturer that they ship product for and wait 30 days, 40 days, or whatever the terms of that invoice is. Instead of them waiting those long days, Love's will pay them within 1 day or within 3 days. I was that middleman, getting the documents from the driver, getting it to Love's, getting them paid. That situation didn't work out. That employment didn't work out, but I'm grateful to God. Lord, thank you for that experience, because during COVID, a lot of businesses lost employees, things shut down, but the trucking industry doesn't stop. You still need your products. And with that mindset and what I was doing at Love's, I said, well, I can do this from home, because I was doing it from home for Love's for a while. And so I just took that experience, pieced it together on what I needed, and oh Lord, I had to go be a saleswoman, a sales lady, go out to the truck stops. I printed me up some business cards and went out and let them know, okay, I can help you find these loads. Different load boards, you have to pay for these subscriptions on these load boards and go in and find loads and call your driver. Do you trust me to get this load for you? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna ask him for this rate, make sure, like I said, everything calculates up and adds up right so we can all make money. And I did take a class because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So I invested, I think it was a $400 class, and from what I received from that training and my experience, here I am. And I'm enjoying it because I'm on my own time. I'm not, pressured by anyone other than my drivers to make sure that I have them some good loads, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, thank you, Sister Wyman, and thank you for your participation today with our interviews for the POBSC. My name is Derek O'Neill, and I'm interviewing Brother Michael Brewer from the New Hope Baptist Church. What is your profession?
Currently, my profession is I am a lead auditor for the Oklahoma Logistics Air Command Logistics Center. My job technically is to go out and do evaluations of different programs within the complex and make sure people are in compliance with guidance, regulations. I do a lot of inspections, and also my job is also to teach different organizations about different programs that they may have questions about. So, and being a lead auditor, I also get an opportunity to schedule different people for areas on which they do their go out and do inspections on different programs. So it's a big, diverse kind of job that I enjoy getting out, meeting people, going to different buildings, different organizations, and meeting with the people in production.
So what exactly are the requirements for your job?
One of the requirements for my job is you had to have a bachelor's degree, right? That's one of the things you had to have to get into a position. To be able to get promoted more easily, you had to have a master's degree. I got a bachelor's degree in technical management, and I got a master's degree in business administration. So that gave me the opportunity to be able to be promoted into a lead position. And hopefully at one point, I might be in a supervisor position.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
One of the things about my profession to help you in this area, I call it empowerment, right? One of the things that I do is what I call knowledge is power. We do a lot of reading, reading different regulations, guidance, and those type of things to make a determination as we are in compliance. So to me, it's knowledge is power. Once you know something, learn something, know where to find something that you will be able to share, and also you'll be able to communicate that with others, right? So that you know you're doing your job right. One of the things done, I spent 22 years in the Air Force. One of the things I wanted to make sure as an auditor now that I do evaluate these programs in the airline system, that person that goes downrange in no aircraft be able to come home to their family in the end. So quality product is one of the reasons that I do that, to make sure that once an airplane leaves the depot and it goes downrange back to the organization, they take it downfield, that the airmen that get on that plane will be able to come back and be with their family in the end. So that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
And thank you for your participation today with our interviews for the POBSC. My name is Derek O'Neill, and I am interviewing Sister Jessica Green from the New Hope Baptist Church. Sister Jessica Green, what is your profession?
I'm a licensed beautician, cosmetology, and a barber.
What are the requirements to do your job?
The requirements is you have to go to college 1,500 hours, 15,000 hours of training, and that's some of the requirements. Then you have to go to the Oklahoma City State Board and take an exam and to become a cosmetologist.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
How we could help, kind of like I'm explaining. The training that I had was in high school in cosmetology, and after I got out of high school, then I went on to do some other things, and then I came back to this profession, and that's when I went to school, and I've worked in several different salons. Where I attended college was in Midwest City to get more familiar with all type of hair, and
well, thank you, Sister Jessica Green, and thank you for your participation today with our interviews for the POBSC.
My name is Sharia Williams, and I'm interviewing my mother, Kimberly Williams, from Mount Tryon Baptist Church. What is your profession?
I am a pharmacy technician.
What are the requirements to do your job?
You have to know a lot of math, problem solving, critical thinking, personal friendly mindset, people friendly, show a lot of empathy and patience. So yeah, those are the main things you need to be able to do the job, computer skills, type stuff.
Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in those areas?
So with us, we would be able to help educate you to know how to take your meds, when to take your meds, and what your medication is for. So if you have people who have heart problems, diabetes, even just stomach issues, viral issues, we basically educate you on the medication, what it's used for, how it's used, its purpose, that type of stuff. So we gotta know a lot of drug names and what the medicine does.
Okay, what training did you do?
So for me, you had to take like the math test, and then there was a whole bunch of modules you had to go through, and a lot of assessments to pass, to be able to pass, to move to the next step. And then, I take the pharmacy test assessment to be able to become a state notified technician. And if I want to go higher, I'll have to study a little bit more to take the national certification. So it's just a lot of studying and practice test, but you can pass the test, you get the license.
How can your job empower us young people?
So with my job, to empower you, it would be able to open doors. Like if you decide you want to become a pharmacist, you could step into the pharmacy first to see what it would be like, what you would be going into prior to pharmacy school. But there are prerequisites of school you have to take, and an entrance exam in the pharmacy school, and interviews to get into pharmacy school. But it empowers you to be able to earn a lot higher income. You'll be able to contribute to your community by helping save other people's lives, especially if they don't know how they're taking their medication or what they're doing. You can consult with physicians and help physicians and doctors know what it is, which medications will help and which ones won't help, or drug interactions with people stuff. But it can empower us that with our knowledge, we can come back to our community and share stuff, like when we have vaccines and immunizations, and knowing that it can propel them to med school. If they decide they don't want to do pharmacy, they can have that under their belt to be able to go to medical school or even dentistry. I've seen people come into pharmacy just to go to dentistry. So it helps to be able to open a lot of doors and opportunities to even educate. You can become a professor and teach. So
Thank you. You're so welcome.
Hello, my name is Zoe Clark. I'm 16 years old and I'm from the New Bethel Baptist Church. Reverend James Greenwood is my pastor. Today I will be interviewing Miss Londa Walker. Hello, Miss Walker. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. My first question I'd like to ask you is, what is your profession?
Wow, hello Zoe, it is so nice to meet you. My profession is in education. I am a licensed principal, I am a licensed teacher, and I am a licensed instructional coach. Currently, I am an instructional coach for Oklahoma City Public Schools.
Wow, that is very important. What are the requirements to do your job?
To be all three, or just what I do now?
All three.
Okay, well, to be an instructional coach, which I am currently, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree, but they prefer a master's, and I do have a master's, and that master also allows me to be a principal and a certified teacher for K through 12. And so you have to have a teaching license, and then you have to have done 5 years teaching in a school successfully. You have to love people because you interact with people all the time. You actually have to have adult learning skills. You have to know about adults because they're a little bit different than children. And then you have to have interpersonal skills. That means you have to get along with people. And then you have to have knowledge of instructional strategies. And also you have to be able to understand the district and what the district needs in order for children to be successful and help them carry out their vision.
Wow, that is very interesting. Our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
Wow, empowerment. When I say empowerment, Zoe, guess what I do? I empower teachers. So by me going into schools and working with the teachers on the curriculum, making sure they understand it, making sure that the principal drives the school, and then I understand what the principal wants, and then I understand what the district wants. I'm like the middleman, so I come in and I make sure that the teachers can teach the children using best practices. And through that, I empower teachers, and then I work with all kind of people, and it's so exciting. And by me empowering teachers, I empower students, and they turn out to be smart just like you.
Wow, this has been very informative, Ms. Walker. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you for inviting me, Zoe.
My name is Lauren Coleman from New Bethel Baptist Church, and I'm interviewing Alicia Curran-Moore from People's Church. What is your profession?
I am a director at the University of Oklahoma College of Law.
What are the requirements to do your job?
So it's important to have a bachelor's degree, and it's also very important to have a Juris Doctorate, which is the degree you receive after you finish law school.
So our theme is education, employment, and empowerment. How can your profession help us in these areas?
Absolutely. So I believe lawyers can help the community in understanding their rights as citizens, especially now in the time of social justice. It's really important for people to know their rights. Rights as students in their First Amendment rights in school, rights as citizens walking the street, right to be able to assemble, to practice our religion without any burdens, to be able to congregate and have peaceful protests. So I think that it's really important that lawyers help the community understand those topics. And then education. I think it's important to show the community the value of having a higher education, the importance of going to college to get your bachelor's degree, and if you're able and blessed to be able to go further. I believe that the power of education and having that degree just expands your opportunities even more. And I think that leads to the last one, right? Empowerment, right? So empowerment, I think that it's a funny thing, right? So having these degrees is something, it's corny and something that your parents always say, but an education is something that no one can take away from you, right? And it's actually very empowering. When you make a good grade on a test, you can be able to say, like, I aced that algebra test and I know all those facts, and I can be able to, to take that wherever. And so I feel like it's the same way with an advanced degree. Whether you go to law school or you go to medical school or you become an engineer or you become you go to a trade school and become a janitor or an electrician, anytime that you have a degree that allows you to take care of your family and to be a successful part of the community is very empowering. Thank you. You're very welcome, Ms. Coleman.
Hello everyone, I am Kendall Rowland, and today I am here with Mr. Chagiri Williams. Mr. Williams, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Good. What is your profession?
I am actually in the Oklahoma National Guard. I am active guard, whereas in the normal army, they transfer around the world, but me, I actually only transfer within the state of Oklahoma. I'm a staff sergeant, and I'm actually a HR representative, HR NCO. That's my title.
That's cool. What are the requirements to do your profession?
Okay, so to actually do my profession, it's almost just the requirements of joining the military in general. You take what's called an ASVAB first, and just depending on what you actually score on that ASVAB, it'll actually determine what job you actually qualify for. But not only that, you have the mental aspect of taking the ASVAB, but then you actually have the physical aspect that you have to be able to run, do push-ups, and do the actual physical part of it. So, I mean, there's a lot of requirements. If you're interested, you can Google it. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. I mean, there's a ton of information.
Our theme this year is employment, empowerment, and education. How can your profession help in those areas?
So with my job, to really think about it, is, which I talk to a lot of youth, especially when you're getting out of high school, empowerment is if you don't know what you want to do whenever you get out of the military, when you get out of school, if you don't have any college, if you're not interested in going to college, you're just not mature enough to get ready to go to college, I would recommend joining active duty military. You use the guard as the last, because they all pay for school, but going active duty, you can tour the world. Not only can you tour the world, you get paid, you're able to network, and you're actually able to learn a trade. As far as, regardless if you, like I said, I'm HR, so with me being HR, I can go in and work in a lot of fields. I handle budgeting, I handle a lot of basically personal records. You have the ones that they may go into infantry, that's law enforcement. You also have your JAD, that's your lawyers. You have water purification, they can work for the city. So, I mean, there are just numerous jobs out there that you can actually do. So, I mean, it's a lot as far as empowerment, education, and just what we want to try to do is just guide you in the right direction.
And that was Mr. Chiguru. Thank you for your time today.
I appreciate it.